Sometimes it's fun to go back and watch your old videos to see what you were doing right and what you were doing wrong. So let's check this one out. This is the video where I predict how many goals Cole Caufield's going to get in the 24-25 season. Let's cut it in half again. Let's say he would achieve 3.5% better than he did last year in terms of shot percentage. That would then mean he would pot around 38 goals. He would still silence the haters that always say, oh, Cole's, hey, not bad. I was 1 goal away. But what does that mean? Should we go and predict how much, I don't know, Zack Bulduk will score this season?
I've got nothing better to do.
Let's talk about it. So this should be fun. I'm probably going to end up showing my entire butt in this video. But the thing is, I actually think that I have this somewhat scoped out. And it's a good excuse to talk about Zack Bolduc being on the team. But first, can I ask you a favor? We're so close to hitting 15,000 subscribers. Can you do me a favor? Hit that subscribe button, follow along. I'm going to be doing these videos for the rest of summer. And before you know it, we're going to be talking about preseason. We're going to be talking about seeing the lines actually legitimately come together in practice and whatnot. So it's exciting times. If you're already a subscriber, don't worry about it. Hit that like button. It helps me out with algorithmy stuff. So with Cole Caufield, it was a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Realistic, I guess. I don't know. To predict exactly how many goals he would be able to achieve. You know, he's played on the Montreal Canadiens. It's a pretty sure thing that he would be playing alongside Nick Suzuki, and he did. There's a short period of time where Slav wasn't playing on the line, but the kid's shot percentage stayed the same regardless of whether or not he was playing with Slav. So I was able to take his shot percentage. I was able to take how many shots he typically takes per season or what he was trending towards. And I made an educated guess and I was right. So Bolduc coming over to the Canadiens, he was given some leash over in St. Louis, but not the amount of time that he will be given in Montreal, I predict. You see, he's a young talent and he's improving. Still lots of development for Zack Bolduc. I don't think that they're going to bury him on line 4. And that is basically the only line where he would be getting the minutes he was getting in St. Louis. Montreal is a team where line 3 and line 4 sometimes are not defined. In fact, sometimes line 2 gets less time on the ice than line 3 and line 4. There was a lot of things not working last season. I think that we take that for granted, and I think a lot of people are going to be surprised at the growing pains the team is going to have at the start of the season, and that's a minimum. This might be a tough season. This might be a season of regression. Always the pessimist, but I actually think I'm being realistic with this one. We can go into that, but let's focus on the topic at hand, and that's Zack Bolduc. Bolduc played 72 games last season. He achieved 19 goals, 17 assists, and 36 points. He did that all with 12 minutes and 48 seconds average time on ice. Put that into perspective, that's about a minute less time on ice than Brendan Gallagher had last season, and they actually share stats pretty closely aligned. I actually take that into consideration a little bit when I am weighing out the stats that I'm going to predict for Zack Bolduc here in this video. So Bolduc has a very accurate shot. Again, if you want to make a comparison to somebody on the Montreal Canadiens, Cole Caufield is actually a good place to look. Bolduc has a 15.8% shot percentage, while Cole Caufield has a 15.4% shot percentage, a worse shot percentage than Bolduc. The thing is, Cole Caufield is empowered to shoot, and he shoots about twice, actually exactly twice as much as Zack Bolduc does. So again, something to take into consideration, especially on this Montreal team where Martin St. Louis, we know time and time again, has empowered his forwards to shoot. Just shoot, shoot. We need more shots. And you saw last season, as they shot more, well, what happened? You put more shots on the net, you get more goals. So that leads me to believe that he will be taking a little bit more shots. So therefore, I'm taking Bolduc's time on ice, I'm increasing it, but I'm not increasing it by a whole lot. I'm going to actually mirror probably someone like Alex Newhook. I think he'll get around, 15 minutes on the ice every game. Of course, there will be games where he doesn't play that much. There will be games where maybe he plays more. I'm going to take his shot percentage. I'm going to decrease it a little bit, but I'm going to take his shot attempts and I'm going to pump that up a little bit. Then, and this is where it gets really tricky, I'm going to try to calculate how much time on ice he's going to spend throughout the season. I'm going to ambitiously calculate it for 82 games, although the way that Bolduc plays, I'm telling you guys, he's going to miss some games this season.
Smoked ahead like that, Johnny. It's got to be 2 minutes.
It's got to be 2 minutes. Zach Bolduc just coming off of a...
Here's Robert Thomas. Look at the leg stuck out there. Not sure if it's purposeful or not, but it sure looks ugly on that.
He's a forward with edge. He crashes and bangs. Hey, this is all very unscientific, because you should also probably factor in scoring opportunities for the team. And you know what? We don't even really know what that is. But here's the back of the napkin math, if you really want to pick this apart. But I believe that he's going to get, conservatively, around 24 goals this season. I think on the high end, he might hit somewhere around 27, 28 goals. But that's a big if. That's if he's playing considerable minutes with the second line. And I actually don't think he'll start there. He may have to prove himself a little bit before getting there. But the positive side of me is saying that probably won't take too long. So just a fun little exercise. It doesn't mean a whole lot, but I love what I'm seeing from Bolduc. I think that he's going to be a huge compliment to the team. And I think that the offense isn't going to be from his goal scoring necessarily. I think it's going to be more generated by his forecheck and his strong, sensible plays. If we end up seeing a line like, Bolduc, Doc, and Demidov, and they're actually clicking, you never know. But Bolduc might be that missing puzzle piece that makes it all come together. If you could imagine him coming in strong on the forecheck, putting pucks out front or passing it to Demidov. Maybe Doc has a front of the net presence. Well, if that happens, you never know. But I'm going to be conservative and say he improves on his last year a little bit, but isn't going to be the make or break it for the second line. I think that if he's able to schlep and take his hard work ethic that he had in St. Louis, bring it into Montreal, he automatically makes the team better. And I think now with Dobson and just the defensive pairings being more rounded out, I think Montreal will be spending less time in the defensive zone. And that's something that, Bolduc is more used to in St. Louis. I'm sorry, but we spent a lot of time in our zone last season on specific lines, I should say. Yeah, so this could be a fantastic story, a fantastic marriage. And I'm super excited, guys. But I think that's going to do it for me tonight. It's getting late. I don't think I'll be able to edit this video. I've kind of been putting videos out slower than usual. I don't want to create any exhaustion from my video. I want you to be excited when a video pops up. I want to have good ideas. I don't want to just do an 8-minute video about whether or not Montreal might get Jordan Kyrou. The news isn't as fun as I thought it would be. I thought about doing a video about Jaden Struble and asking for arbitration, because that is kind of interesting. To talk about that for a second, I am totally on the side of the player. Usually the player is in the right. They're asking for something that they think they're worth, and their agents, usually if they're a good agent, they'll say, yeah, you're right. We should, push this a little bit. But if you want my opinion on it, it's probably that they are being realistic with Struble, but trying to get by undervaluing him because he doesn't have a whole lot of cards to play right now. He was the 7th defense, and sometimes he spent time in the AHL last season, right? So while he had some really good moments with Hudson, there's a good chance that this season he's going to be riding the pine or potentially sent down to the Rocket. And maybe that's just it. Maybe it's a two-way contract type thing, and he wants guaranteed salary. And if that's the case, then it is an interesting topic to think about, because that means that Montreal will be using Xhekaj, but potentially taking Reinbacher up periodically, potentially taking Engstrom up periodically. Anyway, fun to think about, because dang, all I've been thinking about is what ifs, you know? If Amazon was smart, they would release that new season of the Face Off or whatever the heck their documentary style NHL series is. Or what about that Bell Media documentary style show about the Montreal Canadiens, the rebuild? I will say I watched the first season of that, and it should have been interesting to me because it dealt a lot with marketing, and I am really interested in that topic, but they didn't do it well. I felt could have been a lot more exciting. Anyway, that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video, it helps me out with, YouTube stuff. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I would love to have you. And as always, I will see you down in the comments.